I know you're gonna dig this.
This is Rhine McLin, host of the Funk Music Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center's award-winning show, Funk Chronicles, recorded live here at DATV Studios in Dayton, Ohio. And now my studio guest is Donald Payne of Columbus, Ohio, of the funk group Thump Daddy. Hi, how are you?
How you doing?
Good. It's so glad that you came down to be with us today. And we're going to talk about your group, and we're also going to talk about Junie Morrison. So I'm going to start off with, let's talk about Junie. How did you meet Junie?
Well, I met Junie in 1975. It's when I graduated from East High School. I was with a band called the Crowd Pleasers. He heard about the band and came down from Dayton and said he was looking for a band to be his backup group. And 2 weeks after I graduated, we ended up working for Junie.
Now, when Junie came up, what was he driving?
He was driving a 1974 Trans Am Black with a double-breasted checkered suit, black and white, with a white shirt on with these mirror glasses. You couldn't see his eyes. So I guess he didn't want nobody to knew what he could see, but he was sort of like, with these mirror glasses, he was like hiding.
Well, now you got to remember, back in that time, that was the style.
Yeah.
That was the style, to have those kind of mirror glasses.
Yeah.
That was the mystique and the coolness of folks.
Right.
So when he approached you, what did he say?
Well, he said he interested in the band. He wanted to try us out. So he said, when I come back the next day, he required you're going to have to rehearse 10 hours a day, 10 hours every day. So he would drive down from Dayton every day, and we rehearsed 10 o'clock in the morning to 10 at night, get one break, and all the way up to 10 o'clock at night. Then he would drive, go back home, come back the next day, do the same thing, till we learn his material.
So when Junie, he played a lot of instruments, and he played all the instruments, didn't
Yes.
he? So he knew when an instrument was on or off.
Well, what he would do, he gonna show you the parts he wants you to play. You would have to play his parts exactly the way that he wants you to play, note for note. I mean, everything would have to go in the same spot at all times.
So he was meticulous, kind of like they said Prince was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So when his music, he wrote music?
Oh, yeah.
And what are some of the songs he wrote?
Well, before we got with him, I knew he was with the Ohio Players. I know the first song was Pain. I knew he did that one, Pleasure and Ecstasy, and Walt's First Trip on one of his albums, Vary's Love. I think that was by the Ohio Players. Let's see, what else did Junie write? He wrote so many songs back then.
And you did too. You wrote some songs. Let me show you an album here. Yes, this is called Crowd Pleasers. And on the back here, Donald has written some songs. He wrote Ohio, We're Going to Dance.
Yeah.
Funkville.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is interesting when we start talking about writing music and how important it is. And you played keyboards?
No, I just played bass.
Okay.
I'm just part writer on the particular songs. The rest of the group, we all shared the rights to that. But,
okay.
we all participated.
Yeah, and so this record company was Westbound Records.
Right.
And at that time, which were this company distributed by Atlantic Recording Corporation, and so out of New York. So where did you actually record the album?
We recorded in Detroit.
In Detroit.
Yeah, they did Atlantic did the distribution
for Westbound.
Yeah.
So was Westbound a standalone recording company?
Well, they were just like a subsidiary of Atlantic Records. Atlantic Records were actually pretty much the backing up for Westbound.
Oh, okay. So how many record companies did you all end up signing with?
Just that one.
Just
Westbound.
the one. Just the one.
Just a 5-year contract.
5 years.
Yeah.
So when and to talk about the business of music. So when you sign a 5-year contract, what did that include?
Well, out of the 5 years, you should have at least an album a year. Out of the 5 years, 1 album a year, if you can get that. But actually, you just be signed to them for 5 years. You can't do anything else unless you can get bought out. That's the only way you can get out of. Other than that, you just, with the company.
So during those 5 years, you did touring?
If you have a hit record, you can do some tours off. Once you come out with some material that is hitting, that is doing good, and then you can tour off it. But if you do an album, no hits, there's no reason to tour because the song is not happening. The album is not.
So did the crowd pleasers did you do touring with this album?
Well, we did something in the South, like down in New Orleans and Florida. We had one song off the album that was a hit called Freaky People, so we traveled off that and made some rounds on that, and that's pretty much it.
So is Junie a real taskmaster when it came to being on the road?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you with him, it's like after you finish playing, like when we first got together, when he came to us, we was doing clubs. We went to Canada. So after we finished, it'd be like 2 o'clock in the morning. He'd say, let's rehearse. So that
let's rehearse.
Yeah, he said, I want to rehearse. Because somebody made a mistake, and then he wants to rehearse. It'd be like 2:30 in the morning. Then he got to rehearse and up to about 8 o'clock in the morning. That's just the way it was. Until you make sure that you won't miss anything that you're going to remember. Wow. It still got to play the next day.
Junie was a taskmaster.
Oh, yeah.
But he was good.
He was good.
And he made you good.
Made me good.
He made you good.
Yeah.
And so, like in Canada, I can't even imagine you doing a show and then afterwards
rehearsing. Oh, that's where it was. I mean, you're gonna rehearse. Then you might, if you had a chance, even go shopping. You might have during the day, if you can get up, you might have a chance to go look for some platform shoes. Maybe an hour, and then after that, there might be time to try to get a little bit of rest, and then you got to turn around. You got to play later on.
I never heard you say anything about eating. Did you all eat?
Yeah, not that much.
I didn't hear you say anything about eating. I was like, okay.
Trying to get a little bit of rest because he'd keep you up all night.
He was that energized.
Yeah, he was that energized. He kept us up all night rehearsing.
So when you were in Canada, where did you go in Canada?
That been so long. I was about 19. I can't even remember where we went. That was new to me. But I knew we were in Toronto, Canada. I couldn't remember exactly spots where we went. Yeah. We was in Sault Ste. Marie and Toronto. Those are 2 spots that we had went to.
And where else did you
go? We stayed.
When you toured with Junie, where else did you go?
We stayed in Detroit a lot. We played around Detroit, and we just stayed up in Toronto and Sault Ste. Marie a lot. And then we came down to Lansing, Michigan. We're in Lansing a lot. And that's just in the Michigan area, between Michigan and Canada.
So you didn't really travel in Ohio?
I think we may have did one when we first came out. I think we did something in Dayton, I don't know if was there a spot here called a 20 grand or something.
Now that would have to be either before my time or a blank part of my. I don't recall a 20 grand, but it may have been. I don't know.
It was something here. We did one here, and then we left and went. I believe we went straight to Canada.
So did you stay with Junie the whole 5 years?
No, we
with the contract.
No, see, that was separate. When we got with him, he was already signed to the company. We did his album in 76. Our album came out in 79. We got into a car wreck in 76. We was coming back from Grand Rapids, Michigan, and we had just finished up his album. All this was in 76. We did the album in 76, and the album came out in 76. So we went to Grand Rapids, Michigan. So we had been doing all this rehearsing. He said, well, I think you guys is ready. He said, we're not going to do no more of this anymore. This is the end of this. We getting ready to do some other things. He said, I'm going to ride back with y'all in the van. Because he normally would, when we go to these gigs, he would always fly and then we would drive. So he would take the plane. So then we'd pick him up at the airport and then we go to the hotel. So this last particular time in 76, he said, well, I'm about finished. He said, you guys are tight enough. Y'all ready for me now. He said, because he normally wouldn't ride with us. You know, he used to take a cab or, you know, take a plane or whatever. But this particular time, he said, I'm going to ride back with y'all. Y'all take me back home to Dayton. This is our last one. We was in Grand Rapids. Then we got into this car wreck. Got in this bad wreck. We was in the van. So Junie and I were laying back in the back of the van. We had been up all night because we had been partying. So he was laying on the side where the slide doors are located on the van. He was on the right side. I'm on the left side of him. So both of us laying there side by side asleep. The rest of the guys, they were sitting up in the chair. So all of a sudden we heard this loud noise. So I guess it didn't really wake me up. Then I heard some guys screaming. All of a sudden the guardrail came inside the van and it hit Junie first and broke both his legs. Got him first and then it got me, broke both of mine. Next thing I know, the guardrail came through the van where the sliding doors, and it came through the opposite side of the van and pushed us out. We was laying out there on the freeway. So we never did make it to Columbus, and he never made it back to Dayton because that was our last time doing these type of clubs. So we ended up in Lima Memorial Hospital in Lima. That's where we were at.
Lima, Ohio.
Lima, Ohio. So he calls me up. We in intensive care. He calls me up on the phone. He's on the other side of the room, asked me, how you doing? And I said, I'm okay. He said, I'm not going to be here too much longer. He said, they getting ready to shift me on back to Dayton. And then he went on back to Dayton. They shifted him on back. So I stayed in Lima.
And that's where you were treated?
Yeah, that's where I was treated. Well, he was treated there too, but then they shipped him back to Dayton. He said, hey, I got to go back to Dayton.
And so how did this end completely? What about the other guys in the band?
Well, they didn't get hurt. I don't know how they got around it, but those guys didn't get hurt. It was just only me and Junie. It was only two that got hurt.
And did Junie fully recovered, didn't he?
Yeah, he came back. It took him a long time, and then I was in a 2 body cast, and then I came back with the band, and I wanted to make sure that I could still keep my group with the crowd pieces because that was the only job that I had at the time, and Junie was still laid up. So Westbound called us and asked us will we be interested in signing. They said they didn't think Junie was going to recover fast enough. And this was like around 77. Now, you know, this accident happened, everything was happening so fast. So from 76.
What month was it in 76?
October.
October. So I'm trying to get a timeline here.
Yeah, it's October 76.
Okay.
And then they contacted us around 77 and asked us, they said, well, we want to sign you. That's what Westbound says. So as Junie found out about that, he said, wait on him and don't sign. He's just wait on me till I get back on my feet. So nobody didn't want to wait. We went on to sign. So he went on and made his move. He went on with George Clinton at the time.
So you all went one way, and
he went another way.
And that severed the musical relationship in what, 77?
When we soon signed, that's when it ended.
Were you and Junie able to communicate afterwards, or was there a bitterness about that?
Well, I guess he was
hurt
behind it because he wanted us, because we was all together in that wreck. So actually, he wanted us to stay because when he said what he said, you are the right guys for me. He said, I'm gonna ride with you, and that was kind of unusual because he would never ride in something, a old van or nothing like that. So I knew he was upset.
Well, because one of the things as a business person, generally you don't want everybody together because if something happens to one, it could affect the whole group.
Exactly.
If everybody's on the plane together and
right.
things like that. So I could see that was a very trusting move that he made that day when he chose to ride back with you.
Yeah.
So your relationship, how did it? After that, how did it go?
We separated. He went his way and we went our way. We went on the sign, came out with that album. That was the end of it. I saw him in '78. I was at Westbound had brought in a guy that played guitar that used to play with George Clinton. He was working with George, and his name was Glenn Goins. So I met him in the studio. He came into Westbound, and he wrote a song, which was on that album. He wrote a song and gave it to us. And I went to his house in '78. He had me to come to New Jersey in '78. So George Clinton was playing at Madison Square Garden at that time. And I said, well, I had never seen Parliament Funkadelics. I always wanted to see him. So I had a chance to go see him. And who did I see? I saw Junie.
He was playing.
He was playing keyboards at the time. That was in '78. And that's the last time we really actually kind of talked. And we talked for a long time. After, we came up out of that accident from '76. We ended up meeting up each other. I met up with him, ran into him in '78. So we did get a chance to talk, and I saw him, and we talked for a long time. And I noticed the way he was walking. I said, man, he don't look like he's doing too good. He said, I'll make it. Because he had a terrible limp.
From that accident?
From that accident.
So he didn't heal properly?
I didn't think so. I thought maybe he might have came out too quick because I wasn't used to seeing him like that.
Well, music was his life.
Yeah.
And
well, I guess I did the same thing.
You
I
did
came back out with a body cast on.
That must have been, you all were how old then?
At that time, when I saw him, when we got into the wreck, I was 21. I had to be about 20. Yeah, I was about 20. So I didn't realize that Junie was 2 years older than me.
So he was just 2 years older than you.
Yeah.
So he seemed older because he'd been around longer.
Yeah, he seemed like an old man. He had old ways. I thought, from being around him when I first met him, he carried himself. He had these older cars, and when I used to go to his house here in Dayton, which was father's house, he had these old Cadillacs with big wide white wall tires on with the diamond in the back. He had all that.
Had an old spirit.
Yeah, he had an old spirit.
He had an old spirit. So, and then there was the other album. This is the album that Junie did, and it was just called Junie.
Well, Susie Super Groupie on the front. See it once you turn it around.
Yeah, it's Junie, and it was. Do you know her, or was she just a?
Well, I seen her. She was where Westbound was at in Detroit. She worked in a corner store across the street from the studio.
Okay.
Junie said he wanted her to pose on this album. And that's how I ended up getting her on the album.
Well, it's something that's really interesting on the back of this album, it says, in the midst of our world, its turmoil and stress, I would like to dedicate this album to the super groupie, for I have experienced and survived an era of numerous trends. I have found the super groupie called love, peace, and happiness. Therefore, with this finding, I come to you. Let it be said that Junie has returned in him, and you may find a way of sharing his own personal insanity. Let him take you. So that's on the back of this album.
Right.
So that was on this particular album. Junie performs all the lead and background vocals. So pianos, drums, guitars, except on Susie Thunder Tussie. Got to say that right. What am I gonna do? And super groupie. So that is really interesting on this album. Now he says he gives a special thanks here to Carol Morrison. Was that?
I don't know who that is. Maybe
Okay.
that might be a relative or something.
Okay, I was just interested that you might have known who that might have been.
No, I just knew his dad, met his father, and that was about it. But anybody else?
But you played on this one.
Yeah, I did those 3 songs, What Am I Going to Do, and then those are the 3 that he let the band do.
And the rest of it,
The rest of it, he did it himself.
He has the, Junie was way before Prince.
Yeah.
But when I'm listening to you talk about him and some of his idiosyncrasies of how he did business, it sounds like some of the things that we're learning about Prince.
Yeah.
That they had that vision and that drive to even down to the point where you said he was limping and things like that, and we're finding out now how sick Prince might have been from all and his pain that he was carrying, but that drive
Right.
to do music. Music isn't for everyone.
Right.
And so tell me a little bit now about the Thumpers. Daddy Thumper. Daddy Thump.
Thump Daddy.
Thump Daddy. I was going to get there. Thump Daddy. Tell me a little bit about what Thump Daddy's doing now.
Well, we just, I got myself and 3 other guys. We just mostly just play around town and play in Charles and West Virginia a lot, different parts of Ohio. And I just pretty much just move around, so I just get little gigs and just keep things happening.
How many
for
are
myself.
How many are in Thump Daddy?
It's 4 of us.
4 of you.
Yeah.
And what are the instruments?
Bass, guitar, drums, lead guitar, and keyboards.
And keyboards. And so you carry on the funk.
Yeah.
And so some of the music that you play.
Well, I do other people's, other artists' music. Then I do some of my own originals, and that's about it.
Do you have an album or anything?
I do have a CD album myself that I did back in 2000.
And the name of it?
It's called Check Again, A Player Just Stepped In. That's the name of it.
Oh, say it again.
Check Again, A Player Just Stepped In.
All right. So you continue with the funk theme.
Yeah.
So now, we've talked about Junie and I'm coming to you to say, why do you think us trying to get, and we're going to get it done, the Funk Music and Exhibition Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center is so important for us to establish, and especially here in Dayton, Ohio?
Yeah, just let people know the history of it and then how the funk got started, where people got it from, and they keep it going, because once you keep it going, then people would know this is where it started from. So it's always like a starting point, and you don't want it to end, you want it to keep going. just keep going. So hopefully somebody will get it from me and carry it on.
Well, what are 3 highlights of your career with Junie?
Let's see. What I really liked about him is you have to pay attention to everything that he does. Watch what he does when he make his cues. A lot of times when we be playing with him, he may not do the same thing when he rehearsed. He might change up in the middle of it. So you have to be paying attention because he's going to change something up. So you have to listen to his cues. Just watch everything that he does. And then you have to dress a certain way. He wants you to make sure that you're neat and just keep your eyes on him at all times. That's the way he was. I mean, just to see somebody out in the front with a keyboard, that was kind of different. And then the band is behind him. He's in the dead center.
So, and what else?
You better have your shoes shining.
Okay, so that's 2. 1, you had to keep your eyes on him for the cues.
Yeah.
Number 2, you had to make sure your shoes were shined.
And your clothes got to be neat.
And you had to be neat. I mean, he was real a fanatic about that.
About that, yeah.
But he didn't worry about your hair.
Yeah, he did mention about that. He wants your hair to be neat. He didn't want not a strand on you. He used to tell me, he said, I don't even want a strand in your hair out of place. And he used to tell me that. So when I had them curls, so my hair better be in place.
If you could change anything that during your time with Junie, what would it be?
I wish we could have been together today. Because I did talk to him maybe about 6 years ago. We met up and we got to talking. We did talk, and he was going to put a group together. And he asked me to be part of it.
So that shows he forgave you.
Well, I guess he did.
Yeah.
I really didn't have nothing to do with that. I just made a decision. I'd follow the group. But he did ask me, and I told him I wasn't in a situation to do anything. So I don't think he liked that.
So if you could tell young people or anyone that's listening 2 things about the music business, what would it be?
At least try to study somebody that you may have an interest in, and then try to learn from them to find out what you can get from them. And then once you get that, then it can be part of you, and that's how you'll be able to learn to do exactly what they're doing, to get ideas to make you better.
So who would you say were 3 of your mentors in music, in the funk music?
I would say George Clinton, Boosie Collins, Junie, Glenn Goins, anybody's playing funk.
So if you, what
James Brown,
Oh, well, James Brown's one of the original funksters. What is one thing you'd want people to know about Junie Morrison, that they may not know, that you know?
He would help you learn your parts. He would definitely help you learn your parts. If you didn't know how to play the parts that he would show you, he would definitely spend time to make sure that you will learn your parts. If it takes 15 hours, he's going to sit there with you until you get it.
So he had patience.
He had a lot of patience because our birthdays are 2 days apart.
Oh, what
and
is
actually,
that? When
we
was
sort
that?
of like, I think his is on the 28th, mine is June the 30th.
Oh, that's how he was known as Junie.
Yeah.
Because of June.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Anything else you'd like to add to us? Anything?
Well, for anybody that's listening, keep studying the funk and let the funk keep rolling.
I want to thank my guest. And it's been such a pleasure having Donald Payne here with us with Thump Daddy. And this is Rhine McLin, host of the Funk Music Hall of Fame and Exhibition Center's award-winning show, Funk Chronicles. Until the next time, keep it funky.
With our fun. Oh, we're coming to your city. So sit back, relax, take your shoes off, and dig on our funk for a while. Dig.
We're gonna dance, we're gonna funk you, we're gonna dance if it takes all night. We're gonna dance.